Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Lunch Hour with Lorie. I am Lorie Wood, a certified mediator, certified paralegal, certified LDA, and divorce coach specialist. I am here today with my guest, John Peace, who is the co-founder of Safe Haven, and we're here to just get a little information out. He's going to inform me what Safe Haven is, how it came about, and who it's intended to help. So thank you, John, for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, Lori. Appreciate you letting me be on here, and nice to talk to you again. A little bit of introduction on myself. You know, when we started this project, we say, well, we're a financial technology company and we're a new startup. We've been actually working on it for 3 years, and
Wow.
launched live a few weeks ago as far as phase one of our offerings. And and I mentioned this before in an earlier conversation we had last week. When we first started this project, our intentions were a little bit, we had no idea that we were going to offer a service that might help somebody in a domestic violence situation or a toxic relationship escape. My background, I'm fourth generation farmer, grew up on a family dairy farm, live there now. And farmers have a long history of using safety deposit boxes at banks. My grandfather kept emergency money in a safety deposit box, of course, kept his, wills, deeds, and insurance papers and all that in a safety deposit box. And in rural America and really all across the country, you're seeing branches of banks closing. And I remember one year
Scary
alone,
time.
yeah, one year alone, I had to move his safety deposit box and his emergency money twice. And, so we came up with the idea of, hey, could we do this digitally, without a location, store emergency money and store important documents. Now we can't, store the family jewels and stuff like that, but the documents and the money, we can digitally. And we basically spent about the last 3 years on software development. We have some partners in the technology field that does our data storage, and you can store money and you can store important documents. Now that feature is coming out in a few more weeks, but it won't be long before we'll have that. But the money side, it works just like a lockbox at a bank. You can put money in and you can take money out. Now that's all it does. It's like a lockbox, but it's digital. And our attention was, maybe a small market with farmers, agriculture, rural America that's losing their safety deposit boxes. And then my partner, myself, and there's another lady that helps us. You know, we had some background. We knew domestic violence, and then it kind of was one of those things. Gosh, when we started doing the research on who could use this service, domestic violence kept coming up with financial abuse. And I know in your industry with divorce, you see that all the time. Financial abuse is the number one reason people list of why they stay in a toxic relationship.
We were talking about that earlier,
Yeah.
and I've had clients come in over the years, and it's not always women, but one person, the way they've set up their household is one person takes care of the home, the other
Hmm.
person goes out and provides for the family, earns the money, and is responsible for that. I've had clients come in after 30 years of marriage. They don't know how to use an ATM card. They don't know where their money's at, what bank. They don't even know how to write a check. And yes, I know not many people write checks anymore, but they have no idea to do the tasks that we do every day and take for granted. And
Yes.
so to be in a relationship that's dissolving or one that there is, control or possibly abuse,
Mhm.
to not have that knowledge, to not have any idea how to get out of it can be very scary. And so you said that
Mhm.
that was not the first intention that Safe Haven was for, but that's what it became.
Yes, absolutely. And, we started doing some research and talking to domestic violence prevention advocates, people that work with domestic violence. And then I'll be honest with you, Lori, 2 years ago, had never heard the term certified divorce coach or divorce coach. Now, in rural America, and especially in rural Virginia, I had not heard that terminology. And when we started talking to divorce coaches, I mean, first of all, it's a wonderful industry, and it's a wonderful service you provide, because
Thank
I'd
you.
wished I'd had it 12 years ago. My current wife, Kathy, she wishes she had that. And this is not a knock on lawyers, but lawyers, their time is very limited. and
Yeah,
they're
and in
paid
the
to get
court,
you divorced. You know,
right, in the courtroom, emotions don't matter.
no,
And I know that divorce coaches are kind of a new term and not widely known. I've been in the family law industry for 30 years. I've been coaching
hmm
clients without even having a title
yes,
behind it for those 30 years. And I think there needs to be a space for the emotions, but that's not the attorney's role, nor do you want to pay them, their hourly
they're
rate.
and they don't have the time. I mean,
No,
let's if
no.
they're a good lawyer, they do not have the time.
Yeah,
And
and it doesn't matter to them. The how,
no,
the why, the what doesn't matter.
yeah. So here we had therapists that looked at our service, and I'll explain what our service is exactly here in a little bit. And they go, "Gosh, we need this." We had certified divorce coaches go, "Gosh, I had a client last month that needs this service. They are trapped in a relationship, and when we talk about toxic relationship and financial abuse, the abuser, and predominantly it's probably male, it's probably 75-80% male. They are female, but they control the money in the relationship. They control the bank accounts. They control the other person from acquiring a fund of money. And the first thing you talk to these people in a toxic relationship, and this goes into your industry, is you need a escape fund to make your way out of that relationship. If we've talked to victims and they said they left with nothing but a suitcase and the clothes on their back with two kids. Now let me tell you, that has to be hard, and I feel for those people.
100%, and it happens a lot.
Yes.
There's a lot of people who just flee with
Mhm.
no pre-planning, and we can't go into every scenario, but how much less difficult would it be if they just had a little bit of money to rent a hotel and take a breath, or find a
Yeah.
place to live, or travel to a family member's house? I can't imagine um, going from a secure home or a roof
Yeah.
over your head and
Middle
taking your
class.
children
Just imagine
and
just going from middle class to, I mean, oh my
yeah.
goodness.
And this is not a problem that affects people below the poverty line. This
Mm.
this situation or setup can happen in any household where one person stays home or just doesn't have the partnership or access to the family funds.
Oh yeah. And if it's a toxic relationship, chances are when that victim escapes, the abuser's going to cut everything off. He's going to cut off credit cards. He's going to cut off funds. He can already controls all that, so he can do it. And to wait on court orders just to get your own money in many cases.
Or
And
the money that you need to file the court order.
yes, and then when we're talking to victims, we were interviewing them. I mean, the money that's needed. First of all, most people know, well, I'm gonna have to hire a lawyer to get divorced. The legal fees, and then if you got children, what if they need some, therapy, mental therapy, mental health therapy, certified divorce coaches. I would urge anybody that's especially coming out of, it's going to be a toxic relationship coming out of that into a divorce. They need to look at a certified divorce coach. That'd be the first thing I tell them, to work with them. But that takes money. I mean, y'all can't
Right.
work for free. Neither can the lawyer. And you're going to need these services, and you're going to need to pay for these services up front. There's not insurance. There's not health insurance for a divorce.
No, no. And unfortunately, there should be some kind of insurance for a marriage,
It should
I believe.
actually. I was informed there was an insurance company that, this was 20 years ago, that didn't work out. It was just too hard to administer. They were actually selling divorce insurance, believe it or not. But
I'll be damned.
that's a
I'll be
side.
damned.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
we'll
side
have to
story.
delve more
Yeah,
into that later. And I know that again, you're from a farming family,
yeah.
and because of what you went through with your grandfather or what you watched as the generations
hmm
were, you started this with a different clientele
It
involved,
sure did.
and it's kind of shifted. And it's because of your personal background. Would you mind elaborating a little bit
Oh, no
on your
problem at all.
personal background?
You know, like, what is it, over 50% of America, I've been through a divorce. My current wife, Kathy, she's been through a divorce, and now her case is probably spot on exactly what Safe Haven Services was developed for. Um, she was in a high income marriage, high wealth marriage. and it was a toxic relationship. And when she first approached a lawyer saying, "Hey, I need to get out of this," and explained their situation, the first thing, and this was 12 years ago now, keep this in mind. The first thing her lawyer says, "Well, you're going to need at least 25, $50,000.
12 years ago, that was the fee. Incredible.
You're going to need, her kids were in private school. You're going to need money for tuition. You're going to need money to live. You're going to need money for this and that. Or you still got me on the internet? I'm getting a little, okay." And back then, his recommendation was go to the next town, open up a P.O. box, open up a secret bank account with the P.O. box, start storing money there because it's going to take you several years to accumulate this. Well, she could do all that back then. Or you could go to a grocery store and get $200 cash advance on your grocery bill, and it would just show up as a grocery bill. Well, today it shows up as a cash advance. So if you got an abuser who really looks at the money, he's going to see why are you taking out cash advances. And also today, you can't take out a secret bank account. They require a physical address, and they will mail stuff to that physical address. So there again, the abuser is going to find out about a secret bank account. And, so, and also another mechanism she did 12 years ago was, go to a high-end retailer, buy an expensive purse and return it for cash. Well, you don't return nothing for cash nowadays, but
Yeah, now
that's,
it's all store credit, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that was a way she would hide money or to acquire money to escape. So none of those techniques are available nowadays. And so, my personal experience was the same way. Was my divorce? I could not believe how much more expensive it was. Could not believe how long it took. And that's another thing people don't realize. Yeah, just how long and then how expensive that gets. So that's when the idea of using Safe Haven as it's just a self-help tool is what it is, to accumulate, to stash away money very discreetly. And I'll go ahead and go into details exactly how Safe Haven works. Um, Basically, you go on our website, you open up a digital lockbox in your name. All you need is email, address. You can open up a lockbox. We take credit cards or debit cards, and you can put money into your box.
So
And
you
it's
can
very
use a
discreet.
credit card
You
to
can
put
use a credit
money
card. Yes,
into
you sure
Safe
can.
Haven, and then on the credit card statement, what will it say?
The only thing they'll say is SHS, and it's a very discreet looking online merchant purchase. So it's no different than if you purchase from a store. Now here's the key as far as the abuser. It does not show as a cash advance. And that's very important. It does not show up. It just shows up as an online merchant purchase, just like going to a Sears, or well, not Sears now that Laura, I'm showing my age, but going to Walmart or Target. I can't believe I said Sears. But
That's
anyway,
okay. It,
I hadn't
I'm
thought of
showing
them in
my age
years.
because it didn't even dawn on me that there's no more Sears. So
Yeah.
let's say somebody uses their credit card or the
Yeah.
community credit card,
Hmm.
puts money in. Is
Yes.
there a time limit, or is the money
No.
frozen for a certain period of time?
No.
They have immediate access to it.
Yeah. Now, as far as the banking, there might be a delay of a day or two, how you do transactions with the bank and stuff, but it's immediate. You put money in, it immediately shows once that transaction is approved. And the whole key to it is it's very discreet, so you can accumulate a fund. Once you establish a fund, whatever that dollar might be, you make your escape. You can open up a new bank account and you can download those funds to your new bank account, and that's it.
So instead of like not instead of, but so we've got, let's say we've got $5,000 in there
Yeah, it's be a good
and
example.
they're confident and they're able to leave to get the funds and
Hmm.
have access to those funds. Do they need to be out of the house, open up a bank account and transfer money, or is there other ways that they can utilize the money once it's in safe haven?
Now, our recommendation would be once you're safe and secure, is to open up a bank account and just download the money. Now, eventually, we're working with Western Union as we speak. We're going to work on a cash option to take the money out through Western Union with cash. But right now, it'll be through a bank account.
So it seems very beneficial to
Yes.
um, get them safe and secure first, but
Mhm.
that you're working on a plan to get that cash readily accessible in case they need that to get safe and
Yes,
secure.
and one reason being, and doing the research and stuff, a lot of times with financial abuse, the abusers has ruined the victim's credit. and in some cases have ruined it so bad they can't even open up a checking account.
Right.
So we're going to have a cash option to download to
That
download their
makes
funds.
sense.
Yes, because those are extreme cases. But now, believe it or not, we had more than a few, victim interviews where they said that they were, and they didn't even know they were in such bad shape. They didn't realize the abuser had took out loans in their name and did not pay them back. Did not know that they had bounced checks on their, you know, checking
Because they
accounts in
trusted.
their name because they control everything. And
Yeah.
now
And they trusted their partner.
yes. And one thing I will say, there was one common denominator, and I tell all your listeners this: if your significant other is controlling the mail, I mean, is very emphatic about well, I say he, but they are the only ones that's supposed to check the mail, I would be suspicious because
Right.
every one of these victims said, he checked all, I never saw a bounce check statement. I never saw a late fee notice. And then they said, well, he or she, but he always checked the mail.
And I want to clarify that it's wonderful to trust your partner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And asking to be informed or know what the financial picture for your family or your household looks
Mhm.
like does not mean that you don't trust. But
Yeah.
God forbid, even in a great relationship, if something happens to your partner, you need to know where your money is, how to write a
Yes.
check, how to take care of yourself. God forbid something like that happens. So just because you are involved in that piece of it doesn't mean you don't trust. And if you ask and you're not being told,
Yes.
maybe that's a red flag that you shouldn't. But be informed. Trust is wonderful,
Yeah.
but you should be a full partner in your relationship. And you said something that a lot of people don't know how long a divorce can take. And
Oh,
I always say that it's going to be as expensive or inexpensive and as short or long as the other party is reasonable. So if you've got somebody who's not reasonable from the jump, you
yes.
could be in for a very long, expensive ride.
Yes.
Hopefully that's not the case. Now, another thing, and I think anything that we can do to help somebody who's trapped um, in a toxic relationship, um, being abused, or just needs to get out and has a controlling partner and no support system
Mhm.
to rely on is a wonderful tool. But if I can play devil's advocate for a
Mhm.
minute, the court, and I'm in no way giving legal advice. I do not give legal advice, John. I know you don't give legal
Nope.
advice,
Not at all.
but they say in marriages that they have a fiduciary duty to each other, the spouses do.
Mhm.
So, what would you say to those critics who say you're encouraging the spouse or your client to take community funds and hide it and, basically deceive the other party?
Okay. Got asked that question once before. My therapist, Tulane University, goes, well, gosh, your service promotes financial infidelity. And I knew what those words meant. I'd never really had thought about those words, financial
Or heard
infidelity.
them strung together.
Yeah. And I said, well, let me tell you this. It's been our experience in interviewing victims, interviewing advocates, interviewing certified divorce coaches, interviewing anybody that works with people in toxic relationship with victims. The abuser already has a secret bank account. The abuser already controls the money. So the abuser has no need for our services. He already has a bank account that he controls. The
And
only
it
thing,
might be the joint bank account that's
yes,
not a secret, just it's being controlled.
being controlled. The only thing that we're offering is a tool for that victim to even the playing field. Because if the abuser has that right to stash away funds for himself, it's community property, then the victim has the same right to stash
Yeah,
away
and you're not
funds. It's
saying,
community, and you're exactly right. It's community property.
right, and you're not telling clients not to disclose it later. You're
Oh
just
no,
offering a tool to help
yes.
them get into a safe place,
Mhm.
get away from the spouse, and then deal with all the other stuff later.
Oh yeah.
But
You know,
but
I,
safety first.
I told somebody, I said, I'm not a lawyer, but I said, it's common sense. I'd rather be the victim who takes a little too much and is told to give back than to be the victim that has nothing and begging for a court order to get my own money back.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's no shame. And well, maybe I took too much. Well, give it back. You know,
Right.
and that's for the courts to decide. That's for a judge to decide. You know what I mean?
100%.
You know, the only thing that our tool, we just want our tool to be able to let people, victims, escape sooner and better, and be able to use your services as a certified divorce coach, be able to hire a better lawyer, be able to just handle the, and you know, we're in a capitalistic society, and I love America, I love capitalism, but it takes money in family court and it takes money in divorce court.
Absolutely does.
I
And
mean,
it's got to be an even playing field. It's just you have to be able to, you know, have a say to
yeah,
defend yourself. Going through a divorce, especially one that's abusive, and I'm sure this is not only for clients who are being abused. Sometimes the relationship is, um, it just you need an escape route.
uh,
Period. You know, um, but you've got to be able to have a say in it and have control of the outcome as much as you can in
yes,
a divorce. At least be a participant in it. You know, it's hard enough to make the decision to leave. It's hard enough to get yourself out in some situations. Going through a divorce is stressful, and you've got to put your health and welfare first
yes.
and be
And
able
if
to
you
deal
got
with
children, you got their welfare to worry about.
it.
That
100%.
takes money. Oh, going back to your question about somebody going, you know, like financial infidelity.
Right.
And I'm gonna send you this video clip because we got it. We had it sent to us. I don't know if you ever watched the show Everybody Loves Raymond. It's pretty, you
Oh,
know,
yes.
most okay. There's one episode, and I'm gonna try to summarize this as quickly as possible. I don't want to eat up all the time. Where
That's okay.
Frank, the granddad, backs into Raymond's house, refuses to pay for it, you know, and they get in a kind of a family tiff. And later on in the episode, Marie, the famous grandmother, comes in and hands Deborah like $3,000 to fix the house. And she goes, "You mean Frank's giving us the money to fix the house?" And she said, "Oh, no, honey, this is my money." Okay. You know, and everybody knows Marie's a housewife, you know, raising the
Right.
children and stuff. And Deborah looks at her and goes, "Your money?" And she goes, "Well," she said, "when I first married Frank, my dad put $50 in a safety deposit box and gave me the key. So if I ever wanted to leave Frank, I'd have some money." Of course, this was decades
Right.
earlier. And
Right.
she goes, "Over the years, I've put away a little bit more." And Deborah looks at her and says, "Well, how much more?" And she says, "Well, $38,672." I knew exactly. And it was a funny scene and stuff. But, you know, that's a wonderful little story of she was stashing a secret stash of money away, not for ill intent, it's for her
You
own
know,
security.
unfortunately, a large percentage of marriages end in divorce, and you never know.
Yeah.
I have my former sister-in-law was a housewife,
Hmm.
two kids at home, and now they've been married for probably 30 years. But
Yes.
on the onset, she started squirreling a little bit of money away because you
Hmm.
just never know. And after 30 years of marriage, I think she finally told him about the account and they went out and bought a new car and something else
Ah,
because, they figured it was just a savings account that was kind of extra, the icing on
yeah.
the cake. But the intent when she started was just a little self-preservation.
Yes.
So I
Self-security.
can appreciate that. A
Yeah.
little bit of security.
Yeah.
It's not like we are telling people to leave. This is just a tool, if that's the choice that is right for
Mhm.
them, that may be helpful.
Oh yeah, and you know, I'm not telling anybody to take somebody else's money. You know, take some of your money. That's up to you. That's your decision. That's your right. If you want to put some away for your, you know, security, for your peace of mind, whatever you want to call it, that's your right. Even in a marriage, you don't give up all your personal rights. And
Right.
um, and you know, hopefully you'll never need that money for a terrible situation like divorce or separation or whatever might come in. Maybe it's a surprise, you know, college fund for the kids. And I hope it is. I hope it really is.
Right. So I know we've touched on this a little bit,
Mhm.
but I just want to make sure that everybody understands very clearly. And if somebody out there needs your services,
Yeah.
if you would go through it as if you were the one that was made the decision to leave, and then how do you find it?
Okay,
Um,
sure
how do
will.
you just start to finish? Tell me as if you were using it yourself.
Okay. First of all, it's all web based. Somebody asked me, "What do you have an app to put on the phone?" No, we did. We made a conscious effort not to do an app because if you're in a toxic relationship, maybe the abuser's controlling the fun or putting spyware on the phone. And then that's another thing I would tell people. Depends on your situation. You may not even want to use your home computer, with spyware and everything else. So we want to keep it web based. You could go to a public library and open up a digital lockbox with Safe Haven. And that's one of our plans to when we add the Western Union or the cash advance thing is we want to be able because you take up there's other people that need money storage, and one of the reasons they can't open a bank account is because they don't have a permanent address. So even if
Right,
you're homeless and you get a job, you can't open a bank account because you don't have a permanent address. So we
right.
had those people in mind, and they deserve a safe and secure way to store their money.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So there's other people out there, whether it be migrant workers, legal migrant workers. They can't. We kind of take it, Lord. We kind of take it for granted about opening a bank account. But there's a
Right.
big chunk of America that cannot open a bank account, and sometimes it's for no fault of their own.
Yeah, somebody who's already left a relationship
Yes.
that their credit was ruined by, and they can't open a bank account. So they find you on the web.
Yes.
Is it safehaven.com?
Safehavenservices.co. And
Okay,
we'll put hopefully a list on your site and everything else.
absolutely.
People find it.
Absolutely.
So it's say you walk into a public library, ask to use their internet. Get on, do www.safehavenservices.co. Goes to our website. All you need is an email address. Everything, all of our correspondence is through your email. You will put a mailing address, but now we do not mail anything. Everything's through electronic purposes, and you can open a digital account.
And
If you
what if
want,
they don't have a mailing address?
not a big problem with us. We
Okay,
can use the
okay,
email address. Um, as far as put money in using the cards, it's just like making an Amazon purchase. Anything you put your card information in there, and then you pick how much you want to put in your box. Say $10, and you put
okay.
$10. Hit that send button, and so and most people are pretty savvy on how to use cards with Amazon and everything else, and then it'll show on your ledger. And so next time you log in, all you do is log in with your email address, and it sends a link to your email. And when you click on that link, it'll open your account right back up. So now email security is important.
Right,
Yeah. Now that's one thing I would tell everybody because we made it very easy for people to use. It is very secure, but it's only as secure as our customer keeps their email secure. Now, that customer might want to do a whole new email, might want to open up a new Gmail account, might want to open up a new Yahoo, whoever they prefer, because that abuser might already know your password to your old email. So that would be
right.
one
A couple of
suggestion.
questions for
Yes,
you. Is there any other way to put money into Safe Haven other than a card?
not at this time, credit card or debit card.
Okay, and
We
then
are
is
working
it
on the cash option.
perfect? Is it PIN protected? So I know that the email is all the information you require. There's no credit check. You don't have to have a physical address. Um, is there, you say you put in your email and it opens the ledger. Is there a
Well,
password protected or PIN?
you put in your email and it sends your email a link.
Okay.
So as long as and like me and possibly you, I get a little notification every time I get an email and stuff.
Mhm.
So if somebody else is trying to get in your box, you will know.
Okay.
So that's part of the security. And I'd urge people just go in there and look at it, try it out. Yeah.
Right. I mean, start with $1 just to make
Oh
sure that
yeah.
you know,
Put
something very
a dollar,
nominal.
$5, because we don't really care. We want people to to look at it to see how it works. It's very easy to use. You download the same way you just enter your bank account and it'll just download. Similar as when you set up your PayPal account. Very
Okay,
similar.
great. And so it's not an app on the phone that somebody can
Now,
easily find. It's web-based. You just have to make sure that your email that you're using is secure and only
Yes.
seen by you or someone
Mhm.
that you emphatically trust.
Yeah.
And I'm sure with anything, I know this is a passion project for you, and that's how
Yes.
it kind of came about. But there's got to be a fee. You can't do this for
Oh
free.
yeah.
There's costs of doing business and all that stuff. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. Now the part I can't tell you how much it's going to cost. Depends on what card you use. If you've ever used PayPal, if you use Discover, their fee's a lot higher than maybe Mastercard, Visa. So that fee's going to be in there somewhere. And I have to tell people you just have to know your card fees. As far as us, we do a 3% service fee. And when you
Okay.
click on send, if you want to put money in there, everything's right in front of you and you're agreeing to it at that time. So it's not going
So
to surprise you after the fact. You know, you're going to see, hey, this is what it's going to cost you. This is what you're putting in your box. And if you hit send, you agree to it. So,
Okay. And one other question, and maybe you touched on this, but I
mhm,
want to be very sure. Some credit cards, they have a certain percentage for a transaction and a
yes.
certain percentage for a cash advance. Are you running
Now
it as a
we're not a
transaction or
cash advance. Now I can't
okay.
tell you if there are any other fees on your particular credit card, but we do
Sure,
not.
sure.
Yeah, part of we spent a long time doing the software is so we would not show up as a cash advance.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would probably raise
And
some
that
eyebrows.
charges a lot of money too. Yes. And
Yes,
see,
yes.
currently when we were interviewing victims of toxic relationships, you know, right now there, a lot of them try to use prepaid debit cards to try to store money. And the
Right.
fees on prepaid debit cards can be up to 16, 20% per transaction. Oh yeah, they're
Wow.
the leading prepaid debit card just to log in and see your balance charges $2.50. And but see, they're taking advantage of the situation and they can because
Right.
these
They
people
know they have
cannot
no
open
other
bank
option.
accounts. Yes. And so we're much, much cheaper than prepaid debit cards, green dot cards. I don't want to get into particular brands,
Yeah,
but
so
you know,
yours
yeah,
is a 3% on the balance or 3% of
on the
transactions or
transaction. Yeah.
okay.
So,
And
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 and all of our fees are on our when you get onto the web page on our user agreement that you know you agree to, and everything's spelled out right in front of you.
well, I thank you for all the information, and I know that you've already got some clientele that you have helped, and you've got to
Yes,
feel
we've
really,
gotten some
really good
pretty good
about that.
reviews so far. We've gotten some replies back on how easy it was to use and stuff. So that just tickles us to death.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
yeah,
it's
after three
difficult when
years
you're
of development, then you're wondering, gosh, will anybody use it? And then how do we get it out? And another thing, and Lori, I can't tell you how much I thank you for having me on the podcast because you know when you think about a service that you need to advertise, but you don't want to advertise to the general public, you
right.
know, and we don't. So it has to be referral, it has to be word of mouth. And hopefully, like with certified divorce coaches like yourself or life coaches, when y'all identify that person that needs to get out of a toxic relationship, it's something y'all refer, you know, our web link to. You know, y'all might want to
100%.
check this out. And we're just part of the pie. You know, they need to work on their escape plan. They need to work on a lot of other stuff. We're just a little piece of the escape pie.
100%. And I'm happy to provide the information.
Hmm.
That's why I wanted to have you on today. It's information. You
Yes.
never know who it can help. But when people are going through something like that or any difficulty and they find that they need a little safety net or security blanket,
Hmm.
it's really helpful for them to have options and
Yes.
and know what they can and cannot do. And they can make their own choice. We are not endorsing, we are not saying you have to. This is
Hmm.
information for you. If it benefits you, fantastic. John, is there anything else about Safe Haven that you would like to say? Because I feel like we've covered
Ah,
it. And, I've
I was,
enjoyed talking to you. And I know in our previous conversations, we could start going off topic and talking
yeah.
about all kinds of stuff. But I really wanted
Well,
this to be
I hope
dedicated to Safe Haven.
I hope you and your listeners can understand my accent. I live in a little town called Big Stone Gap, which is in the mountains right on we're in Virginia, but we're right on the Kentucky border. You ever watched the show Justified?
Yes.
We're actually, Harlan County is just the mountain over for me. It's
Oh
only
my
about
God.
20, it's only about probably, well, by the crow flies, probably 40 miles. It'd take me about 60 miles to get there by car. But Harlan County and all that would justify. So
I used to
we're,
really enjoy that show. That was one
yeah,
I went each week to see. So that's very cool.
yeah.
But
So
you're way out there, aren't you?
yeah, that's where my accent. Now, People hear the accent. Now, I'm going to brag a little bit about my partner. Well, I tell you what, him and I went to high school together and we went to Virginia Tech together. Tom, for no other words, he's a computer genius. He was one of those students that scored 1600 out of 1600 on the SAT. Okay.
Wow.
I mean, he's a computer genius. Okay. He's had a successful career in technology. Currently, he's a CIO or CIO, Chief Informational Officer. Yes. So, he's had a successful career. So, people hear the accent and wonder about technology. No, I have a couple people involved in this project that are as good as they get as far as software, good as they get on marketing. And so people, we use a blockchain type technology for data security. We had the cyber insurance, we had the business liability insurance. People talk about trust. How can they trust us? We've done everything that we can possibly do to make it trustworthy. Now, of course, as we know, the world's terrible place sometimes with cyber security and stuff like that, but we do carry the insurance and we use every technology to keep everything safe.
I think that's an amazing thing, and I'm
Yeah.
really glad that you mentioned it because, you know, the clients that we're talking about,
Hmm.
trust has been broken. They're in a very vulnerable state. The
Yeah.
last thing that they need to do is worry about this decision.
Oh, yeah.
If this is helpful to them, now they can exhale and know that it insured, God forbid something happened. Just to take a little bit of stress or worry off somebody's plate is
Yeah.
a beautiful thing. And I can appreciate that this is a passion project for you and
Hmm.
your partners. I think when we operate from that, beautiful things are formed. You mentioned divorce coaching, and
Yeah.
I'm a recovery and transition coach and life coach. And even though I didn't need the certification because I've had professional experience doing this for 30 years, I wanted my clients to trust me. And it
Yes.
is my passion project to help people deal with the emotional aspects of divorce or post divorce. And where do I go on with my life now? So I think when we're operating from what is our passion,
I
it's
know.
people can really benefit from it because they know we care. And I thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh,
I
one thing I
definitely,
was going to get you to share
yes,
with your clients. I heard this from a victim, and I thought this was a great quote, talking about the best revenge for a toxic ex is for you to live a nice, happy life. That's the
I
best
agree
revenge. And I thought that was such a good
wholeheartedly.
quote. And I told you this quote, personally, I'm Presbyterian by faith and stuff. And our little church, we have a saying, the best way to help yourself is by helping others. And that's kind of our motto. We're just trying to help others. And
I love that.
I hope we can get the word out so we can help as many people. And see, I mean, like you helping your client, if you can help your client skate better, they can pay you, they can use your service. I mean, it helps everybody. And
Right.
it's about helping everybody.
I think
We
the
all
world is a
benefit.
much better
Yeah, we all
place
benefit.
when we
Yes.
are empathetic and
Yes.
helpful. We do not have to agree. We don't even have to, understand, but you can still be helpful. You
Yes.
can still pass along information, which is what I wanted to do today. And I so
We
appreciate you.
appreciate it. We appreciate it. Oh my goodness, we
It's
sure
my
do.
pleasure. I'm going to put your information down.
Yes.
Um, Send me the phone number for the company if there is one, or any
Yes.
link that you'd like me to send, and I will get it done. And maybe when you get Western Union up and running or
Oh
some
yeah, and I'll
changes
keep
to
you
be made,
abreast of our progress because there's a few
we
other
can
bells and
meet again.
whistles. Yeah, we've had some good ideas presented to us that we plan on adding to the service. And do you prefer me to email you this stuff? Email still?
You can email
Okay.
me, you can text me, and
Yeah,
when
sure will.
you make some changes, we'll meet again so
Okay.
we can let everybody know of the different features that you've added.
Well, good deal. Appreciate it
All
very
right.
much.
Until then, John, thank you for being a part of it.
Thank.
Everybody, thank you for listening. As I always say, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.
God bless. Thank you.
God bless. Thank you so much.